Good morning, Frugalistas. Today we're going to do some pruning out in the garden. I don't know what it is about pruning, but I love pruning. I just love cutting the crap out of these plants. If we prune these tomatoes and we prune them like crazy, it's going to increase the production of fruit many times over, supposedly. We'll see. So anyway, we're going to prune some leaves and we're going to prune some suckers. I mentioned suckers a couple of times and a couple of people said, what are suckers? So I'm going to show you what suckers are. Suckers. Get rid of the suckers. Alrighty, here we go with our tomato plant. This one's finally growing some fruit, and given the shape of these little tomatoes, I'm thinking these are my yellow pear tomatoes, which I've never grown before. I'm getting exotic. I'm branching out. Now, the idea behind the pruning is that you want the plant to focus on making the fruit. You don't want it to spend too much of its energy wasted on unnecessary leaves and suckers. Another reason you want to take off a bunch of leaves is that you want good airflow, right? And you don't want these leaves getting in the way of airflow. So as we go up the main stem of the tomato plant, we're going to trim off a bunch of leaves. Leaves. Snip. Liesel. I actually have 2 tomato plants in this pot. So we really do want to do some snipping. Now, let me see if I can find a good sucker to show you. Snip a leaf. It makes the tomato plant look a little odd because you end up with this big long stem that's kind of naked and a bunch of tomatoes hanging off of it. But so be it. Now, you especially right away, right from the beginning, want to trim the leaves that are low down, that are going to flop down in the dirt, because being in the dirt they can pick up funguses and stuff and bring diseases up to the plant. So those are the exciting ones to trim off early on. Okay. Snip. Oh, there we go. I wanted to find a good example of a sucker for you. All right, to be honest, this whole thing is actually a sucker. It should have been snipped off, but I'm not going to snip it off now because it's got flowers on it and they're going to grow tomatoes and I'm going to let them grow. But pretending that this is the main stalk. This is actually the main stalk, but if you have a stalk, morning, you have the stalk of the tomato and then you have the leaf coming out. And in the crotch between the main stalk and the leaf, you have this little guy growing. That's your sucker. And this is like a whole new tomato plant trying to grow. The big plant is trying to grow another little plant. And the reason you want to take these off is you don't want the plant to be putting all this energy into growing a whole other tomato plant and a whole other tomato plant and a whole other tomato plant. You want it to focus its energy on the main plant and producing fruit. When the suckers are big enough, this one's kind of small, but when they're big enough, you can cut them off and you can root them. Either put them in water or put them in dirt and keep them well watered, and this will grow into a whole new tomato plant for free if you can get it to root. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. I've had pretty good luck with suckers. But anyway, boom, sucker gone. Now, technically, when this whole stalk was growing up and there was a leaf coming out here, this was a sucker. But I didn't trim it soon enough, and now I don't want to because I feel like it's going to make fruit. I'll show you some other suckers that I've cut off of other plants that I'm trying to root, and they're doing pretty well. And in case you're wondering why I'm calling tomatoes a fruit, it's because tomatoes are a fruit. Cucumbers are a fruit, peppers are a fruit. Anything that grows out of the flower of the plant is a fruit. Pumpkins are fruits, zucchinis are fruits. See, look, I'm just going crazy. I love pruning. I just love it. Now, in case you're wondering what this plant is growing in with the tomato and why it's there, well, it's a melon plant, and it's there because I don't have that many pots, and my plants have to share. But look at the little melon growing. Isn't that adorable? All right, let's see if we have some more suckers. I pruned a ton of them off yesterday, way out in the back 40. Thank you, Liesel, that was helpful. And I'll show you them. I have a bunch in a mug, and I have some stuck in dirt. All right, so here we're gonna do some pruning, and first just take off some leaves. Now right here we have a sucker. So you have the main stalk, you have the leaf coming out, and in the crotch between, this is the sucker growing out. But there's another sucker right there. That one. Each one is having a little sucker and a leaf removed. Now I know it looks like I've just decimated the plant, but it's for its own good. There's that sucker. Now look, 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 look. Look, are you looking? Main stem coming up, leaf coming out. This thing is a sucker, and that's pretty big, so we'll try to root that. This is the growth head of the plant. I know this looks bigger and it looks like a bigger growth head, but it's a sucker. I'm sorry, you're a sucker. But you're pretty big, and we'll try to root you. And then the leaf we discard. Put it over here and pull a couple weeds. See our little sucker? That could be a whole new tomato plant if I can get it to root. All right, this one has a pretty good example of a big sucker, if you can see down here. Here, first, let me get rid of this leaf. All right, this got a lot of suckers that I let this go way too far. All right, so this is the main stem. Here's the leaf coming out. So that's the sucker, the thing that's growing in the notch. If you don't want to call it a crotch, we'll call it a notch. And this is a big sucker, and it's got some flowers on it to grow fruit. So we'll definitely try to root that one. Then, over here, this whole thing is actually a sucker. It's huge. And I'm going to snip it, even though I kind of don't want to because it's so big and I feel like it's going to grow fruit. But that's maybe the biggest, this might be the biggest sucker I've ever snipped. So hopefully that will root, because that, yum! I mean, that would be a big free plant if I can get it to continue to live. But we sacrifice it really in order to keep this main plant doing what it needs to do. There's a sucker. That's a little sucker. Get that leaf off. So it looks very different now, doesn't it? And we have these 3 huge suckers now. Wow. Now, in case you're wondering how to tell the difference between a leaf and a sucker, remember the leaf will shoot out of the main stem first, and the sucker grows out of the notch crotch. And the leaves are kind of flat. It's like a stem with different little leaves coming off, kind of flat. The sucker has the kind of growth head at the top, showing how the plant continues to grow up. And then the thing is, if you leave the suckers on, which you can if you want to, but the suckers will grow suckers, and then their suckers will grow suckers. So your main plant is putting all its energy into growing a whole new plant, a whole new plant, a whole nother new plant, but you just want it to focus on making fruit, making fruit, making fruit. So just from trimming out front here this morning, not just the ones I showed you, but all of these I trimmed. I have this many suckers now in water to try to root. And I'll show you the ones I stuck into dirt. Some I have in water, and some I just stuck right into dirt. So hold on, and I'll show you that. Okay, now here's some suckers. I think I've shown these before. These are ones I just jammed into dirt. So I'm pretty sure that's kale. I'm not 100% sure what I was growing here, but I just jammed that one in the dirt, and this one's doing really well. Some of them, all of these are just suckers that, like that one doesn't look too happy. Those are suckers. They're all growing. You're a sucker. All suckers. all suckers, also suckers. And some suckers have made it right back into the garden already. Like that one doesn't look too happy. I mean, they don't all necessarily take root, oops, and prosper. But I mean, these are all doing really well. Like they're gonna go in the ground or get into pots soon. I'm particularly pleased with that one. Look how big it is. So that's the cool thing about getting your suckers off. You get all these new plants potentially for free, and you're making your main plant much healthier and able to concentrate its energies on just growing the fruit that you want it to grow. Well, there you go, guys. There are the basics of tomato plant pruning and sucker removal. I hope you guys are having good luck with your summer gardens. I can't wait to see what's going to happen with all my tomato plants in the next month or two. Pretty excited. All right, have a great day, gardeners and frugal people who like free plants. See you later. Bye.